All right, this is the Sully Boy Show with your host, Brendan Sullivan, inspiring movie critic, and my host, Shane Sullivan.
Hey, how's it going?
Just that's it.
Yeah, I don't really have a title.
All right, so we're gonna kick it off with a few announcements. We watched quite a few movies this week, and we're just gonna rush through them. Not too bad, not too bad, but we're not gonna do it as in depth.
We're not gonna be in depth about it.
Yeah,
as we
in
did
depth
last
about
week about Deadpool
and
Hail Caesar.
Caesar, but we're gonna do we're gonna start off with. Let's see, what should we start off with?
Well, I mean the Oscars are coming up, so we could do the two Oscar movies that we saw.
Yep, we saw The Room, and then we saw Spotlight. We saw Risen, Race. I saw The Witch, and I saw Citizen Kane. Is there any? Are we missing one?
I saw Ex Machina.
Oh, Ex Machina.
For a
And we're talking about
challenge.
Ex Machina because that was our challenge, which I failed at, but we'll talk about that later. So yeah, let's kick it off. All right, we're gonna start it off with a couple of movies. We both watched. Did you finish? No, you haven't seen Brooklyn yet, but we
No.
did. I did watch. I did watch
I think that's
Oscar.
the only Oscar movie I haven't seen yet.
Is Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we finished. We were almost done with the Oscar movies. I'm done with the Oscar movies. He's almost done with the Oscar movies, but I don't know if you're gonna watch Brooklyn anytime soon. But
yeah,
we
I'm
watched.
gonna try to find it in a theater somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. It's not really around anymore. We watched Spotlight and we watched The Room. You want to start off with The Room?
Yes. That was this movie is.
I told him how tense it was, but it's a little different.
Going into this movie, I knew like the kind of backstory of it and how like
The overall premise.
I know it
almost.
was based off a book, which was actually based on some real life events that actually happened. But even knowing that, going into this movie, I was not prepared.
Yeah, you're kind of blindsided with it.
This
almost.
entire movie was like just an emotional roller coaster. You're like happy, you're sad, you're happy, you're sad, and oh
And this is not like we don't. I've never cried in a movie ever.
no, I haven't either.
I've never cried. I'm not saying that. Oh my God, I've never cried in a movie, but I just don't get it. Like movies, I know it's fake, so I don't get that attached to it, like that emotional with it. But because your girlfriend just started pulling her
Oh,
eyes
man.
out. If
She
you
was
if you
gone.
don't know what you're getting into, it will blindside you because
Yeah. Okay. So let's just give a brief like
description. You want to give it?
description.
Yeah, you can give it.
Okay. So the movie is about there's a woman and her son, and they're trapped in what they call the room.
You don't know what this actual room
Yeah.
is.
You're just introduced to these two
Uh-huh.
characters while they're already in the room, and the kid is already 5 years old.
Yeah.
Then as the movie's going along, you kind of like get filled in the pieces and like what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they're stuck in this room. You don't know where. You don't
Do you?
know.
We shouldn't spoil what the actual person is.
No,
We'll
no,
just
no.
we'll just say the guy told her that her dog was missing.
Yeah, that
And
her,
then
no, his dog was
His man sick and couldn't find him.
and then ends up kidnapping her. And
Or-
then I guess this is how they get into this room.
Through.
So it takes place like at first are introduced to these characters inside the room.
Just having a normal day,
Yeah.
literally having just
It's
looking
like-
normal. Like
it's
we're like okay,
their
what's
normal
going on?
life within this room.
At first, like, you're thinking, like, is this really about, like, somebody strapped in it?
Yeah.
To me, like, at first, because I didn't really actually know the actual, story, the plot of the movie going in. So I just thought, like, I'm like, is this, like, somebody where, like, they're trapped in the room just because they want to be? Like, that's the only thing they know, maybe? I'm like, oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised to find out that I thought the majority of the movie was going to be about them in this room, but it's actually about
them
when
coping with their-
when they escape, them coping with that, how to them back in the outside world. Well, for the kid, it would be his like first time in the outside world because he was born in the room.
So he doesn't have like a, like you know how sometimes people will have like an emotional attachment to something that it might be bad, but you still have that like emotional attachment. Well, the mom had that kind of attachment where she kind of went crazy outside of it. We won't go into details,
Yeah,
but
and,
she kind of
like,
went crazy.
since
He
the-
didn't go crazy
Yeah,
because
since the kid was so young, he was able to adapt quicker.
quicker. And
But-
I love how they show that like the psychological part of
Yeah.
her, like her
Her
psyche is
and him.
her psyche is just like wait, like I'm part of me is going to be always be trapped in that room. It's kind of cool like that.
Yeah, and like
Where
him too, and like how he like at points narrates some of this movie,
yeah,
and it's
that's
like
pretty good. I love those parts.
it's him describing like our world
But
for
to
like
like a newborn,
yeah
like if a
for
newborn
himself.
came out and was like could
So,
talk.
for instance, there's a part where he thought everything on TV was magic and fake because obviously he didn't know what's out. He thought trees were
But
fake and
yeah,
dogs were fake and
and at one point, I think he tried to cope with the idea that he knew that, like, hey, that's not real. Magic isn't real.
yeah.
But he just tried to cope with it
But he
because
didn't
he
know any
couldn't.
better.
He,
He
well,
didn't know
he
anything
also
else.
couldn't. I don't think he could like fathom the idea that he's trapped here. That he can't leave. That if there is a world out there, he can't leave it.
Yeah.
So he just makes up this like kind of excuse because you could tell by like some of the parts where like, oh, there's a leaf that falls onto their skylight is what they call
Yeah.
it, and he doesn't want to say that that's from a tree. He wants to say that that came here because of magic.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting like that.
I do like. I was really surprised because a lot of times when you have like really young actors or actresses like
They're usually just
there's-
terrible.
Yeah, it's really like.
They're actually hot and cold. Like
Yeah.
you'll get one that's like
But he
really
actually
good.
played a phenomenal part.
Yeah.
This, yeah. Like there's times you're like, wow, this kid's freaking annoying.
but like
And-
you realize that yeah.
Yeah, and you realize that, like they purposely made him this way because it's his, like, lashing out at his mom because he doesn't know anything
He doesn't
else.
understand. He can't.
Yeah, he can't.
He can't comprehend the idea that they're
There's
trapped
no
here.
magic
There
and-
is no magic. There is no Lucky the dog. There is no this and that. Um, there's no. There's bigger space than their 4 foot house or
Exactly.
shack or whatever they call. What do they called it room, but
Yeah.
they just called it a 4 foot room, and he didn't comprehend the idea that there's like space, like there's something
That how
on
big,
the other side
yeah, and
of
how
that
big the
world it actually is. Because they're like, how does dogs and cats fit? And she's just like, and you could tell that sometimes some of the times that when she like started getting mad at him, like started yelling at him, that she knew in her head that like he doesn't understand, like he can't
like,
understand.
She was in there since she was 17 to 24.
So she knew it was
So
outside
she knew,
world.
of the outside world, but he knew nothing but the room.
Drew. His almost like he was almost trapped in his own head. Like he can't get out. Sometimes those like some of the diseases have people where they're just trapped in their own head. It's kind of like that. He's trapped in a world. Have you ever seen The Awakening? It's a Robin Williams and Robert De Niro film. They had the disease. It's based on a true story where they're actually trapped in their head. They can't actually move. They can't do anything. They're literally in their head. And it's kind of like that where he just can't fathom the idea of anything else besides that area. It's a really good movie. I would recommend it. Not for those who get not offended, but kind of I can't even think of the word. Like if you don't like really intense movies, I wouldn't recommend it because and make sure you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Because it is a very intense movie.
But I mean, if you have no problem with that, I would say it's definitely.
Oh, I would say
one
definitely
to
watch.
See. Yeah, I would definitely.
For the
one to see.
majority of moviegoers. Yeah, majority of moviegoers, I would say see it.
Yeah.
I'll give my rating 9.3. I say go see it no matter what.
I'll give it a 9.5.
9.5?
Pretty good movie.
I would say it's one of the better Oscar movies out
by
there.
far.
All right, when we come back, we're gonna not when we come back, but we're gonna do Spotlight. It's another disturbing movie. We watched both of those in one day, which is kind of not funny, but kind of weird. But we'll come back with Spotlight, and then we'll kick it off with another movie. All right, we're gonna kick it off with not kick it off, but we're coming back with Spotlight, movie based off the findings of a small team of not investigators, but team. They were really investigators, but they're like news
They
investigators.
were reporters.
Reporters.
The reporters were investigating alleged stories about how priests in the Catholic faith, specifically around Boston, of how they were being, there was accusations on them about molesting and raping
kids from 15 to like 11, 12.
And the thing that's like about this movie that's like so
It's so eye catching.
impacting.
It's because we were talking about the how people are trying to cover it up.
Yeah, well, I mean that too, but for myself and Brennan, we were raised in the Catholic faith, so this is like it really hits us
because we're that age.
And yeah, at the time, this movie takes place is about 2005. I was in fifth grade.
No, 2002.
Okay.
Yeah, 2002.
So I was second grade then. So that was
exactly the same time.
The time.
Like the kid, the
that
kids,
was the age of.
Yeah, the victims were like third grade.
Victims,
so like
that they were going after, and at first, okay, so Spotlight, it's about this, and at first they uncover like.
They
possibility of only 13 priests.
Well, first they get into it because they had a columnist or something wrote in their own paper wrote a story about this kind of like thing, and it kind of was just brushed through. Like you read this columnist about alleged rape of like one or two priests or something like that. One priest.
I think it was
one, and they just brushed it off like it was no big deal. Apparently, nobody apparently paid attention to it.
Yeah, so I get the thing that like clued him in was like, why didn't anything happen to him? Why wasn't anything like press charges or something?
Why didn't we go like investigate it further? Like the guys like we investigated further.
So they later find out that he was just moved to a different location, and then so they start investigating more. Found it like there's a potential of 13 priests in Boston.
And one of them was moved around like ridiculously amount, like 7 times in the last 8 years or something like that.
Yeah, they noticed a pattern that once
every time like this alleged thing happened. They assumed it was that every single time there was a track record. It was saying that they were sick or they were deactivated or moved.
No, it was sick, on sick leave. They were unassigned.
Unassigned, that's it.
Or there was another one like inactive or something.
Anything to describe the actual thing that happened.
So then they started. They're like, well, instead of trying to find victims and connect them to priests. Let's look for the priests and then try to connect them to the victims.
Yeah.
So they looked in the records and tried to find every priest in Boston that had an unassigned, sick leave or something like that.
And then they went on and investigated that further.
And they noticed that this was a pattern and that it wasn't only 13. It ended up being 90. 87.
And 90 alleged. They said apparently, according to this, the former priests that like of Boston uncovered this and was threatened to get disbanded from the clergy, and he did eventually, but he's still Catholic, but he doesn't go to church. He said that 6% of priests are molesting kids, and it's just like it hits you there where it's like 1,500 priests in Boston alone. That's roughly 90, and it turned out to be 87, but close enough. And then they eventually they start uncovering these things and covering these things, and it gets. I'm not going to get down to we're not going to get down to the spoilers, but let's just say it goes all the way to the top. Not just clergy or the Catholic religion.
The Cardinal of Boston knew about it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people that knew about it.
The Vatican. The Vatican knew this was happening. Yeah. And instead of getting rid of them,
they just moved them.
They just they hit it. The newspaper hit it.
Even law. Law hit it. And it's a sad movie because you're like, this is based on a true story, but again, to me, I didn't even hear about. I heard maybe 1 or 2 parts of this story.
I mean, there was always people saying it, and there's jokes about it. But you never knew this happened.
The in-depth part of it, and the sadness about it is that it's probably still happening, and the fine and the law of it you can't really do much to priests when they do this stuff.
Well, it's like It's not even jail time.
No, it's like $20,000.
$20,000
Fine, and like a slap on the wrist or like some like community service or something like that. I forgot what it was.
So if you rape a kid, is that a felony? Because there's no way you should be able to say that you rape an adult and that's a felony and you go to jail, but raping a child is only a $20,000 fine.
Well, the thing is that like when you get down to it, it's like, wait, so you're saying that you're first of all, it's on both sides, law and in religion. They preach these people. I'm not saying the Catholic religion. These people preach about this kind of stuff, like, oh, don't have adultery, don't do this, don't do that, and behind the scenes, this is happening. That's the thing, is that it hits you, and you're like, you realize like the law, even law is screwed up. Even law is so screwed up that you can't even.
That's my thing.
Like, where do you go? Like these people, like it's like I feel almost trapped again. Like kind of like the Room. I'm trapped in my own world, because if this ever happened like to my kid or something, eventually, like if I eventually have a kid and it happens to my kid, what do I do? What can I do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of doing stuff illegally.
I mean, we're not trying to say that like, hey, don't go to church.
No. Church is a good thing. I'm just saying
it's just like giving you that like this did happen, and
it does that.
Just need to be
because
aware.
Luckily the movie does that. It doesn't say like don't go to church.
Yeah.
Church is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Religion is a bad thing. The guy that witnessed some of these things said that like witnessed priests bringing young kids up to the like rafters or like the bedroom up there or something. He still says I go to church, but the thing is that he can't look at it the same, and I think that's what the spotlight puts a spotlight. Get it? That's stupid. Sorry. I apologize. It puts a spotlight on the situation without glorifying the people that are covering all this.
Yeah, because it doesn't really give you like names of actual people. It gives you like a few, but
it doesn't like really go, hey, oh my God, look at these people, they're uncovering all these cool secrets.
It's just saying pretty much like be aware that this did happen and might still be happening,
and that we should change law to do it. And I don't even think it didn't say it in the movie. I don't know. I have to read up on it. It didn't say that they changed the law or anything. That the law still is only $20,000 fine and a slap on the wrist. This is ridiculous. So I would say.
No, it was more. I think this movie was more to not be like, oh, you know, the Catholic religion is bad, blah blah blah. It was must give people awareness that like, hey, the Vatican didn't do anything about this.
Our government didn't do anything about this.
Yeah, our government didn't do anything about this, but people maybe have the power to like change this.
Yeah, do something. Like, because they didn't.
Go again, like, you know.
Because after hearing all these things.
Stand up to the Vatican and the government.
Yeah. Because after hearing all these things, nobody did anything. Nobody stood up. Nobody did anything. They just kind of threw it aside. They didn't want to cope with it in their mind that their own religion.
That's what I think it is, because like there is a huge like population of Catholic Christians
in Boston.
Not even in Boston. In the United States, and I don't think the majority of these people wanted to accept the fact that this
happened in their own religion.
Yeah.
And I think that's at that point of putting that out there and all the things that happened there. I would say this movie it's one of the best movies of last year. Not maybe the best movie of the last year. Just by the amount of information, amount of context that it goes through, I would give it 9.7. 9.7.
I'll give it 9.5.
9.5?
Yeah.
I would say it's probably it's definitely the best sound Oscar movie out there.
Yeah.
We're gonna come back with what should we review first?
Let's come back with Race and Risen.
We'll do the ones in theaters and then we'll do the challenge. Yeah. All right, we'll come back with Race and Risen, and we'll see you. Risen. We'll see you then. We're first reviewing a movie called Race. Came out technically last Friday, last Thursday in some theaters. It's about the story of Jeremy Owens.
No, his name is Jesse Owens.
Jesse Owens. I keep getting Jeremy Owens for some reason.
So Jesse Owens was an Olympic runner for the United States, and he was running against the Olympics in 1936, which was like the height of Hitler's regime.
Yeah.
Just before just after the.
After what?
No, just before World War One, right?
Yeah, World War One is 39.
Yeah. Just before.
Just before
and
the invasion of Poland.
The Olympic Games took place in Berlin, Germany.
Whereas they didn't like anybody. They didn't like Jews. They didn't like anybody.
The thing is that Hitler did not want Jews or African Americans or anyone besides white people participating in these Olympic Games.
Yeah.
And Jesse Owens is he's a black man. But he broke records at Ohio State, world records at Ohio State. So, obviously they wanted him to go to the Olympics. He made the Olympic trials.
He didn't want to do it because well, at first he didn't even want to try out. And they're like, at least try out so you have the option.
Well, the thing was, the reason he didn't want to try out is that people here, like for the black rights movement, told him that going over there
it's just kind of like promoting,
like saying it's okay that they don't like black people, which I think it was the opposite
because
he was like, despite the fact that you don't like me, I'm going to come over
here and win the medal in your face, kind of.
So not only did he win, but he won 4 gold medals.
Yeah.
One again in the long jump against supposedly the best European jumper who was German.
He beat Jeremy Owens has the best record on because remember
still?
Well, no, still. But remember at the time he actually had the best record.
Yeah, the European guy did.
No, he did. Remember, because he broke it at that one place. It didn't count.
Yeah.
But he technically had the best record. He jumped the farthest. Just to say that, and it shows that.
He then broke it again at the world.
Yeah, the world record. So. It shows that this guy actually helped him beat him almost.
Yeah.
That connection. It got cheesy. It felt cheesy at times, but it was still grounded almost.
I think it was
if you know
because
what I mean?
That runner, the long jumper, who was a German, helped out Jesse and kind of give him a tip hey, because he faults on his 2 first jumps, then he lays down a towel and says, here, jump from here, and I think that shows that not everyone in Germany at that time agreed with Hitler, but there was not a whole lot they could do
about it
because they were they feared they would be captured
or
killed
or whatever, imprisoned.
And at the end of the movie, you fairly find out that jumper was then he was ridiculed for that, and Hitler made him.
What he did.
He drafted him in the army.
Oh yeah.
And then he ends up dying
in the army, which is a sad thing. And it's by the numbers biopic. It's nothing special.
I mean, it's
a good movie, but I wouldn't say is it the best biopic of the year. Will it be the best biopic of the year? I don't know because I don't know what's coming out this year. But I say it's by the numbers. It's not really anything to get in depth with. Because it's just
if you know the story of Jesse Owens, you'll know that
I think you'll be accepted by it. You'll accept it. We wish that there's a better story out there? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really get in depth about his persona. It just kind of skimmed the surface almost. But I didn't mind it. I thought it was straightforward. It was good. It was inspirational.
I mean, because
I wish it was less cheesy, but
that he went over there and he won 4 gold medals. He was only technically qualified for 3 Olympic events, which was 200 meter, the 100 meter, and the long jump. But
he wasn't there for the relay.
Yeah, the 400 relay, the 4x1, which is a 4x100 relay. There were 2 Americans that were Jewish, and they refused to let them
in because
participate in the Olympic Games.
Because what's it called? Hitler got grumpy.
Yeah, Hitler just was like, no, we're not doing that. And so, but then the 2 runners went up to Jesse and was like, it's better to, have you run and we take another gold from, the Nazis than to not run at all and have them win it. So then that's
them win, basically.
Yeah, so then Jesse ends up running that and winning the 4th gold
Which
medal.
I didn't like, because the one part, they didn't really describe other, teams. It wasn't the world against Nazis. It was just USA or blacks and Jewish against Nazis. And I felt like if they would have, but that's the depth part, if they would have gone in depth with how everybody was against them.
Yeah.
Everybody was against them.
Well, not
I think
everybody, but like.
Or pretty much every
majority
majority of
us.
people. Even Japan didn't really care for them until they actually needed them in the war. But yeah, pretty much. We're just gonna cut it right now because it's pretty much it's not very in depth. You can't go really like. It's not like a emotional impact on
No, I mean
on me,
it's a story of Jesse Owens and his.
It's good enough. Let's just say
Olympic
that.
gold medals and.
Yeah.
I'd give it like
I give it a 7.
7.5.
Like if a 6 is just like a movie, you're like, I don't really want to see it.
Like,
I would never get a 7.
It's decent.
I would say go. I would say go see it if you don't get bored easily, because sometimes there's parts of the movie where it just kind of drags and it gets boring a little bit.
I mean, I would say, like, it's one of the better ones out right now.
Yeah. Which is not saying much.
That's not saying much, but
it's a good February movie, which is not so hard to say.
If you're in the mood to see
it, if you're in the mood to see a movie, go out. But it's definitely not a priority to go see the movie. All right, we're gonna we're gonna review Risen, movie that came out same week, and we saw that too. Pretty good movie. We'll review that when we come back.
We're back we're going to talk about the movie Risen.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie Risen takes it's a story about the crucifixion of Jesus and him rising again.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that makes this story interesting is that it takes place from the point of view of a Roman who at the time is a non-believer.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously you'll kind of figure out that throughout the movie he ends up believing in Jesus as this Messiah and possibly the Son of one God.
And it goes through, because I know we don't want to spoil it too much for you. It just basically follows his life of kind of from non-believing to almost finding God, almost like a
finding
thing. And to me, that's one of the good things and bad things about the movie, because I think we were talking about earlier, is that I'm glad that they didn't go through and shove it down your throat with like following the story of some believer that always believed it and kind of did it. It was kind of a cool aspect where like for a majority of the movie he doesn't believe it at all.
No.
Actually,
like,
all the movie besides about the last 10 minutes he actually believes it.
95% of the movie he does not believe it.
And even when he meets, like let's just say when the thing goes down, I won't like say it. You'll see it in the movie if you watch it. When the actual like event goes down, and it's so like shocking that you shouldn't like a normal person would be like, of course it's real.
Everyone knows the story. So
yeah.
How Jesus was supposedly he died on the cross and then was risen. So the main character sees him again alive, and you think at that point like, oh, he believes like this is the Son of God, and he should believe it now because he died.
Yeah. This dude that he killed, that he saw die, is sitting at a table full of people.
But the thing is that surprisingly, he's still in doubt.
Because he thinks he doesn't. I don't think he thinks like, hey, this is not real. He just wants to assume that's actually him.
Well, think about it. Like you were raised from a kid
to believe
that there are multiple gods and like this is your way of life, and then in one instant, like all of that.
It's kind of like if we reversed it.
Possibly is just proven wrong.
Yeah.
Like what if it was opposite? Like we proved that like one day you walk into a room and there's just nothing but tons of these
Roman gods, or even Allah, or any god besides your God, right?
And you're like, well, this thing that I've been, I grew up believing is
fake. Boom,
wrong.
Fake. It's fake. It's not fake, but it's not. Maybe it is real, but maybe it is, because I think at that point he thinks it's still real. Like his idea is that it is still real. It's just that this is a different God.
I think that what makes this movie actually like a pretty good movie is his character development throughout this movie is phenomenal.
Yeah.
At first he's this brutal,
stone cold stone
cold tribune in the Roman army, and you're introduced to him in the middle of a battle, killing people.
Yeah.
Killing
disciples, I think, like
Jews.
Just
Jews, followers of him, and then throughout the, as this event happens, you see him like slowly, like, denying it, and then less and less as this movie
And you see
goes on.
it's not, it's like, it's very subtle, because I like the part where it's very subtle, where it doesn't like tell you right away, like, oh, hey, look at this, I believe it now. You can tell him it's just like his facial expressions,
yeah.
but like he's like doubting it, and it's not like he's doubting it. It's more like he can't explain it.
But then they're towards the end of the movie. I'm not gonna say, but Jesus says one line to him that just like turns the switch. That he is now
a believer,
disciple.
Disciple.
In the sense of Jesus.
And I like that part, because
apostle.
It was kind of cool to see that. It's very subtle in the movie. I don't know if you picked it up, where he goes, "Oh, go tell my stories," right?
Yeah.
And if you looked at it, there's 8 people, right?
Yeah.
8 people could tell 8 different stories, and that's might be why we get 8 different religions with the same God.
Yeah. True. in the Bible, though, there's a thing where Jesus grants his, disciples and or apostles tongues of fire, which is, he pretty much gives them the power to speak every language.
Oh yeah.
So I think that part was like, hey, go tell my story
to everybody.
Exactly what you said. Like 8 different people around the world can have 8 different viewpoints, even though they're the main story might be the same, but from their eyes, what they saw, like, could be completely different.
Yeah. And it could be even, it's not that it completely changes the stories. It could be just like, hey, one aspect of the movie,
details, but then that person tells a story
that
just like myth and legend.
Exactly.
And
it's funny because they
skewed as people tell it.
Did you notice they said it in the movie? It's kind of cool. I don't know if you noticed that they were talking about legend, how he saw a sea serpent thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and I just thought it was so the story could be skewed, but the movie is so interesting because it that does take place from the point of this Roman.
Yeah.
And how
it's different than anything we've seen before.
Yeah,
let's just say that.
It's not like, all right, the story. He died on the cross. He was risen. He had disciples. It's like this man was out to kill him.
Yeah.
To find.
They
They swore up and down that he was still dead, and that his disciples just took the body and just were making this lie that he actually did rise, but he was actually still dead.
And they couldn't find the body or something.
Yeah, he was out, arresting followers and
Mary Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene. Yep, you're introduced to Mary Magdalene in this movie, and there is the story about how Jesus actually loved her and possibly did not die on the cross. And had kids with her, which is interesting
to believe in itself. But
which could be another story that
they actually go into. They actually go in depth about. The thing that was kind of cool is that was the prefects, was that the head guy's name?
Yeah.
The prefects.
Like the Roman. I guess he's like a Roman.
Yeah.
Governor in a sense.
Like he's basically like he runs part of he runs a territory, right? The interesting part about that guy is that even when the guy leaves a note saying, "I'm going off to the disciples to find," like, I saw him, he rose again. Even at that point, even though he didn't, even if he denied it, right? He didn't deny it.
No.
Even if you didn't want to deny it, he goes, "I'll kill him again." And that right there, you're like, it's all about what he's up to. Like, it's all about what his life is. It's not about what anything else matters. It's just what he.
Because then that is him giving, into the fact that this man died and then came back to life.
But he didn't care about it.
He's just going to kill him again if he has to.
Because his mindset is all focused on
Rome.
Rome getting mad at him because somebody just disappeared and reappeared.
You know how the Jews and Hebrews were a threat against Rome. So it was like what was his title again?
Prefects?
Yeah, the prefects were supposed to kind of like create order in this new territory before the Caesar came to visit. So that's why like this whole thing was going on, where they wanted to find his body.
And that's why they didn't want them to know that they didn't want him to look like he riz, because it was going to start a riot basically, because like all these Hebrews are going to be like, if he can rise again, anything can happen, and they would overthrow the government.
More following, and
eventually, yeah.
Which obviously we know it did happen, because
eventually Rome fell.
Rome fell, and Christianity and Catholic
became the biggest
worldwide like religion.
But the thing about it is that even when you get down to the end, I wish the one thing I do wish they did at the end had an ambiguous ending where you had to make up your own kind of like conclusion to it. Like I do like the fact that there was like, because you could definitely tell the person that made this movie is a believer of God, right?
Yeah.
It would be kind of cool to see another movie maybe where it didn't take place through the person of somebody that believed in God. That it not like an atheist, but like somebody that at the very end he goes, wait a minute, like it makes you like he looks off. And maybe you have to determine if it's real or it's not real. If it's cool. It's kind of like that. You know what I'm saying?
There's somewhat of an ending like that, because all you do is introduce him. He tells his story to
this guy,
which in essence is exactly what Jesus wanted him to do, was tell the story, right?
Exactly.
And I think he kind of almost accidentally did that, but since he was there and he's technically now a disciple of him. You see him just kind of like walk off into like the desert, and then he's now on this new path in life.
Yeah, but you don't know if he's actually going to stay with it.
Exactly.
If he's going to actually say these type of things. Overall, I would say a person that believes in God and believes in the Bible or anything in particular like that, I say go see it. I give it 8, a solid 8. I wouldn't say it's the best Catholic movie out there. It's definitely not the worst one out there. I wouldn't say it's a private.
Remember Noah, right?
Yeah. Oh my. Okay. I don't even want to get into that movie. But I would say go see it. I say it's not a priority to go see it, but go see it if you're like I don't have anything to do.
Like if you feel like watching a movie, and you're believe in the Bible and what it tells,
what it stands for.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie. Yeah, it's a good movie to see. It's a different story, so I'd go see it. But yeah,
what would you give it?
Solid 8.
Solid 8, yeah.
All right.
Now we're coming back with a movie that's it's a very interesting and not time consuming to get through, but it's going to be time consuming to get in depth with it. Let's just say
It's a movie that makes you think.
It makes you think. And the movie that I'm about to challenge him for our challenge too is going to make him think even more. It's going to make you think even more, which is going to be very good. It's actually a better movie. That movie that we're reviewing is called Ex Machina. Came out last year.
It's either Ex Machina, Ex Machina,
whichever one you want to call it. I mean, the actual god of robots is called Ex Machina. So I assume it's called Ex Machina.
Yeah.
But we'll come back with that. All right, we're back. Remember I challenged Shane last week? I challenged him with a movie called Ex Machina. And you watched it yesterday, didn't you? 2 days ago. 2 days ago. What'd you think about it?
This movie is an interesting movie. Because the movie takes place. It's about a man who brings this guy along to his like house in the middle of nowhere, and
huge house,
and the man created a AI who is called Ava.
AVA.
Yeah. So Ava is a artificial intelligent robot that's supposed to, act like a human, look like a human, act like a human. And the thing was that this guy brings this other gentleman in.
He's a coder.
He's a coder for his like company that he owns, and he brings him in to test his robot to see if it's human enough. But then you later figure out like that's actually not the true purpose and why he's here.
We won't go into depth.
But let's just say like the it turns out like this movie, I it left me kind of like speechless because I was like, it's good, but
how good is it?
yeah, and because it's like it's a movie that you have to do like you got to think about a lot. So, well, I gotta explain the spoiler because then I kind of like spoil the ending a little bit because that kind of gives basis to like what this main definition of this movie is trying to say.
Okay.
So eventually, that the artificial intelligent robot escapes. Well, she ends up having to do some bad things to escape.
We won't explain that, but
she makes it out into the real world, and her sole thing is that she looks like us, she acts like us, but she's completely a robot. And there's a lot of people out there that thinks that if we keep experimenting too much into the thought of artificial intelligence, that one day
they'll replace us.
Yeah. They'll figure out that, like kind of like Avengers even too, that someone will make an artificial intelligent robot to save the planet, and that robot will figure out that humans are actually the worst thing for this planet, and
worst thing for them. I think this movie's more like it's not more thing that it's like worse for the planet. It didn't seem like it's more it's worse for them.
Yeah.
It's worse for the AI. Personally, what is the AI gonna do? Is humans worse for AI?
So the thing is like he made this robot to be a human, right? And humans want to survive. Like, animals want to survive. Like our whole thing is we reproduce, survive. So this machine is going to have it in their circuitry and their thought process that I need to survive. And not only that, I need to survive and reproduce. So, doing so, the robot is probably going to want to create more AI just like it.
Yep.
And then that's how they're going to eventually, replace us.
And it was really cool because it very hintily described in the movie, because you could it's an ambiguous. This is actually an ambiguous ending where you can take your own thoughts into it. You can say, oh, maybe he does this, maybe he does that. Maybe she does this, and maybe she does that. I think my thing is that they gave hints throughout the movie that this is a evolutionary improvement. They were saying that eventually stuff evolves into something else, and I think that's what her purpose is to do, is to make us evolve into AI, because AI can't get hurt. AI doesn't get emotional, doesn't get attached to anything, doesn't get, what I'm saying, it doesn't let anything kind of like make its decisions worse. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't get anything.
It can calculate the best.
Conflict. That's what I meant.
It can resolve conflict easily, but the thing is like throughout the whole movie, the main character that you see is like, oh, this is going to be such an
awesome thing,
advancement in technology. It's going to be the next.
Of course, you're excited, right?
Yeah, so you're like, oh man, cool robots. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then you're like, after all these different events start to happen,
you start to
realize like, this might not be a good thing to make a robot like humans.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool because you don't know what the bad guy is. Even at the end of the movie, who really is the bad guy?
Yeah, at the end, is it the machine that escaped to... Alright, so in the end, the creator of this machine...
Let's give us like a huge spoiler. If you want to skip a few, just don't come back for at least a couple 5 minutes or something like that. Because we're talking about majority of the spoilers in the movie.
So the creator creates this robot called Ava, and you have to wonder, like, is the creator the one in the wrong for manipulating this robot, or creating it in the first place?
Yeah.
Because
what is his purpose?
Well, what's the purpose of having an AI robot that is human-like in every sense? So at the end, the robot ends up killing the creator, because you find out that the sole purpose for the other main character to come in was not to actually test to see if the robot was, human enough. He gave the robot a single
objective.
Yeah, objective was she was trapped in this room, which is kind of weird because we're talking about a room. She was trapped in this room, and her sole thing was to use any means necessary to escape. And so he brought him in to see if she would have, use sexuality, manipulation, deception, all this thing to deceive him to help her escape, and she ends up succeeding. She manipulates the guy, he escapes, ends up killing her own creator because obviously the creator's like, I can't have this, I need to shut you down, I need to destroy you. And she's
because
like,
she was basically going off road.
yeah, she was going rogue, but her mission was, I'm not escaped yet, I'm still here, and so she's like, I need to do anything I can possibly to escape, which meant killing him. So she ends up killing her creator, and then escapes. So then that was like our whole that we just spoke about. Like, was the creator the bad guy for creating this robot that could be the downfall of humanity, or is the robot the bad person that ended up killing her creator and escaping into our world?
And doing the thing that can remind me, because it's kind of cool about that kind of aspect, like why would he make a robot for this? I think he wanted, personally in his mind, I think first it was cool factor, like, oh cool, I look at me, I made a robot, right? It's kind of like an ego trip,
like a human,
yeah, kind of like a trip. But then I thought further on, I think he was actually kind of psycho. Because sooner or later you'll find out he's not what he says he is.
No.
And I think his idea was to show that I can make something that's more evolved than a human. I can make something that's even better than you.
Yeah, because
I made something that's better than you.
He's a smart scientist, and yeah, I do think it was like an ego thing that he was like, look what I did, like I did this, but. Because you like later figure out he's an alcoholic and he gets just like blackout drunk all the time.
And all the other we forgot to describe all the other robots that he manipulated and destroyed because they were too much. They got too they got like what every other human is. They got feelings and their thoughts, and they got the mindset to rebel against their creator, which is really funny because it's like humans.
Yeah,
I think that's
it's like, yeah, in a human sense, if you were trapped in a room by somebody, you would, want to escape, and if it means
even that's your creator, even if it's a god,
yeah, you would want to escape, and that was him to these, AI robots that, and you have to think it's weird because like he lives in this giant mansion, secluded in the woods, like, all by himself.
His whole like estate, estate is like 5 miles long or something, like some ridiculous amount.
And like he's a really wealthy guy, but he literally lives all by himself, and you're like, man, like why does this guy live out in the middle of nowhere all by himself?
You realize why?
You realize why, because he's not completely,
Well, he's not all there, and he's creating something that he doesn't want anybody to see.
No, and he doesn't want to get out, obviously, but we're talking about the ending as in. She gets out into the real world, looks just like us, dresses just like us, and you just see her standing there looking, like around. She just like got off like a subway.
We don't know where she's at. But.
Yeah, you don't really know where she's at, but she's looking around and it just ends, and you're like, wow, like is she just going to just live on society?
Yeah, you
just like
don't know,
and you don't know. It's like you have to make your own ending to this movie, which makes it
which is like pisses
better.
It gets you mad.
Yeah.
But then, it's like one of those. Have you ever seen one of those endings that they just end and you get really really mad at it? But then you think about it, you're like, oh, that's fantastic.
You have to like salute the ending because it is
that
good,
revolutionary. I'm not revolutionary. That I don't know how to describe it, but that's actually the bad parts about the movie is that we've seen all of this before. We've seen how they've shown. Machines take over. We've seen how machines get emotion. We've seen all these type of things.
Yeah.
They just do it in such a way that it's fresh. It's fresh to the actual thing.
Because I mean, there's so many. Let's say Avengers makes Ultron take over the world. iRobot starts to figure out that humans are the thing that's going to harm. So that
they'll harm themselves.
Yeah, that machines are better. What's another one?
Terminator.
Yeah, Terminator.
The list goes on and on. If you think about it,
we've seen the fact that machines wanted to take over us. That something that we created, wants to destroy humanity because we're, what's bad for this earth or whatever. But this one doesn't really necessarily say that humans are what's the problem. It's just more saying that this AI is better.
This AI thinks it's better.
It's better than a human.
Whereas, and really, actually, it's kind of different because other movies describe that, oh, wait, maybe, of course AI is not better. Of course it's not better. Of course, this kind of gets you the idea that maybe it is better. Which
it's interesting because it could be better in a sense, but also worse in a sense. That,
humans are
something
destructive.
Without emotion, something that, only thinks logically, which you think like, oh, that's good, thinks logical and that's all. But
what if it comes down to a situation like, kill this person or kill this person? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because say like your daughter is hanging off the edge and a random person. Obviously, you're going to go towards that daughter.
Yeah.
A machine would just think of the logical thing that which one of them will contribute more to society.
Maybe he's a scientist and she's just a kid.
But
it's like one of those things that you're like, well, the logical part would be go towards.
Human would obviously conflict with this his or her emotion on like a scenario like that, where a machine will just like in iRobot, it's just a percentage of someone able to survive. That's why he survived. So a machine that only will think logically is maybe not necessarily the best. But in essence, it could, in some parts, it is better. Like maybe there won't be any wars because machines probably could.
There's no revolt in their minds.
Yeah,
in their mindset.
Say that, they did something wrong, because they probably wouldn't do it wrong in the first place. Because they would calculate the best outcome for any event or any situation.
They can be controlled.
Yeah.
Robots can be controlled, and it kind of I want to talk about two metaphors in this movie. It's kind of weird, where they're trapped in the house, right? Everything takes place in the house, right? Majority of the movie takes place in the house, and it's kind of like weird. It's kind of like that's like humans, right? And when she leaves, I don't know if they're trying to do this. It just kind of popped up in my head. When she leaves, she reborns a new AI, a new species of people is AI. Yeah. One of the things that was interesting, also another metaphor, which I don't know if they were trying to do, is that when he's interviewing her, right? If you notice, it was almost like the human was actually trapped in a box and she was free. Yeah. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And that humans are trapped in their own mind, that they can't get past that.
Their own ways.
They can't get past that, and she's the one that's free. And that she's not the one trapped in a room. He's trapped in his own world.
Yeah, because as he's talking to the robot, she's walking around her, room.
He's just
in a glass box.
Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting to see that kind of, I don't know if you would say a metaphor for your own mind, but it was very interesting to see that. I didn't notice it until I was like watching it, and that she was moving around, and that it's like a little so hers is actually a room, and this is like an observing. So they're both rooms. His is like an all glass observing room, and hers is actually her actual room, like a big room. But it made it look like, when you watched it sometimes, that he was actually trapped in the box, and that she was the one that was free-minded and everything.
And at a point, it almost seems like she is interviewing him.
Yeah.
She starts asking him questions, and like almost
questions you shouldn't ask,
like testing him in a sense. And you're like, maybe it was like her way of testing to see, like, am I superior to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And obviously she thinks she was, because she escaped.
She escapes. Overall, let's say overall. What's your overall? Yeah, what's your overall.
I'd get it a 9.
I'll say 9.2. I think it got snubbed from the best picture for at least Bridge of Spies. Yeah. Bridge of Spies shouldn't have been on there. I think it's better than Brooklyn too. It getting snubbed kind of got a lot of fans of the movie mad about it, but I would say a movie that I'm just about to challenge you won't know until then. It dives into kind of those same things, but it doesn't dive in. It dives in more and it kind of reverts back to your own mind, in that not that robots are good. It's just you'll see when you watch the movie. But we're gonna come back with a few challenges, a few things we're gonna do next week, and a few upcoming stuff. That's what we're gonna kick it off with the end. And so when we come back, we'll do that. All right, we're back with a few things coming out. We'll be seeing next week. We'll be seeing we hope we don't have to see all these movies, but we will if we have. If eventually. Yeah, eventually. If they're at our theater, we'll see them. Gods of Egypt comes out next week, which what do you want? Yeah. My prediction for that is like a 3. I don't have any hope for that movie at all.
Yeah, I don't. Either.
It looks like a whitewashed kind of take on Egyptians.
I just from the trailers and how I studied Egyptian gods mythology, I guess you could say it before.
In school.
And the names they use for the gods are not even right. First of all, I couldn't even get that right.
Yeah. And well, the thing is that look at the post. The only thing you have to do is, if you want to see this movie, look at the poster. That's it.
Yeah.
They don't look like they want to be there. The actors don't want to be there. Next movie that comes out is a movie that I really want to see. It's not getting really good reviews for some reason right now. It's called 999. It's only getting 55% Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Yeah, but it's about a robbery heist.
Well, the thing is that one of the people in the robbery heist is a cop. So he stages the assassination of a cop so that everybody will go towards that, which then in turn they can rob a bank. Pretty much.
The code for a dead cop is 999.
Is to go everybody go there.
Yeah.
Which looks good. They might be too cluttered with a bunch of stuff, so that might be why.
Yeah.
I would say my prediction 8 out of 10. It'll be a solid movie. Especially the names in it.
Yeah.
The names in it are a lot.
The other movie is Eddie the Eagle.
Which
it seems to be.
I wanted to surprise me.
I do too.
I wanted to surprise me.
It's from the producers of Kingsman, and the main character is also the main character from Kingsman, which I think Kingsman was a really good movie.
Very, very underrated movie last year.
But I mean, just based off the trailer and stuff, that's another movie I'm not having high hopes for.
When you went into Kingsman, did you think it was going to be that great too?
So no, that's true. But I mean, this is a biopic though.
Yeah.
So again, it's just like race. I'm not expecting it to be like.
But maybe this gets. I think this is going to get the funny side of it because it looks like kind of like a silly version of a real life movie.
I mean,
let's just say I hope it surprises me. If you want to say that,
I think it'll be better than Gods of Egypt. But.
Oh, that's not saying much. Yeah. But my prediction is a solid 6.57. 6.57. All right, you want to kick it off with challenges now?
All right. I am going to challenge Brendan to see Slumdog Millionaire. I have yet to see this movie, but my girlfriend saw this movie and she saw
it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she told me I need to go watch the movie too. So, but I want to.
Maybe we'll both watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge you to watch Slumdog Millionaire.
And I'm going to challenge him to a movie I've seen. It kind of reminds me of Ex Machina. Same presence in Ex Machina. Her.
Okay.
Which is a fantastic movie, which is a better payoff than Ex Machina. It has the same themes in Ex Machina. But we'll see you guys next week. I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll say goodbye.
Yeah. Sully boys out.
Sully boys out.